Hello, sports fans. Old TK here to bring you up to date on the Phoenix Cup Blood Bowl action. Last Friday saw a double header. Honest to Gork hit the pitch against Meat Fists in a defensive match that saw chainsaws, balls and chains, chains and whips, and two chains. A surprise blizzard blew a blustery blast of snow all over the pitch, making it dang near impossible to see. The only passing going on in this game was kidney stones, and that was going to happen regardless of the weather. Meat Fists started with the ball. Honest to Gork had elected to kick, and I tell you, that was a bold strategy. It didn't manage to hurt the grimy goblins, as those bruising black orcs couldn't bust or bash hard enough to break through those stunty runties' armor. There was a lot of butt bashing and gut smashing, but no chin smacking or armor cracking. Midway through the first half, Goblin bruiser Krevliz grabbed himself a tutty, scoring the game's only point. Train Troll Duck threw a goose of a pass, sending a foul goblin down the pitch in an effort to score quickly. After Krevlis soared into the end zone, the Goblin coach thought two can play at this game. Smirgus, the goblin lineman, landed deftly and sprinted towards the end zone, hungry for a tutty buddy. Unfortunately for him, he was only goblin fists, and was immediately sent to the infirmary. He had no
Casualty.
long-term injuries, but he'll need a week off to recover. This ended the first half with Meat Fists on top. The second half saw almost no action, and the only excitement that really happened came from Rur attempting to hack into multiple Black Orcs with his chainsaw. He managed to send Zanraja the Troll to the infirmary,
Casualty.
knock out a Black Orc, but then was immediately besieged and knocked out of the game. Skurslaws tossed a literal bomb that was off the mark, blowing up his teammate, and then managed to send a bruiser to the infirmary immediately before the game
Casualty.
ended. Black Orc, Imdar, and Clink Clank the Fanatic walked away with the game's MVPs, most valueless players. Anyway, Meat Fists on top at the end of an action-packed game of ineptitude, the second in our doubleheader coming up. And that matchup was between Season 1 standout, the Inland Sunbathers, and the expansion dwarf team, Mead Wolves. Those Mead Wolves were able to squeeze in some extra training as well as bring a keg of their favorite brew. A wandering apothecary stumbled into the match, and that dwarf coach snatched him up as well. It was a vibrantly sunny day, and it made it difficult for the aerial attack, affecting the abilities of all attempts at passing. The Sunbathers received the ball, and old Kevin started the game by sending Drardak Beerbeard right back to the dugout to get his injury checked on.
Casualty.
Henry, a chameleon skink, tossed the ball to Josh to set up a mid-half Tuttlesworth. The Mead Wolves fired back with Salbin the Slayer getting a
Casualty.
casualty, tearing up a stinky skinky, but that pretty much ended the first half action with the Sunbathers basking in their 1-0 lead. Mead Wolves received in the second half, and old John Soros gave Zekru the Slayer a mega sore ass,
Casualty.
sending him off the pitch for the game's third casualty. Old Zekru is now suffering from the niggling effects of that injury, and it could affect his long-term career. Henry then scooped up the ball, tossed another completion, only for that receiver to get busted up by Skigney the lineman for the game's fourth casualty.
Casualty.
This game turned out to be a good old-fashioned butt bashing, and it got old TK hot and bothered watching it. Josh and Randuck walked away with the MVPs in a game that was as defensive and brutal as anticipated. And this wraps up the first week of games, with more on the way this coming week. Old TK signing off.